Welcome. We'll get started shortly. Before we begin, here's how to earn continuing professional education credit for attending this session. There are no polling questions or attendance checks. Instead, you will demonstrate your knowledge by taking a brief multiple-choice quiz using the Earmark app. Visit earmark.app in your web browser. You can also download the mobile app by scanning the QR code on the screen. Log in, or if you're new, create your free account. Be sure to use a valid email address because that's where we'll send your course completion certificates. From the home screen, scroll down to find the course. You can also tap the magnifying glass icon to search for the course. Tap on the course artwork, then the Enroll button. On the Course tab, you'll find the recording and quiz questions. Complete the quiz to earn your CPE certificate. It takes us a few days to create the course on the app, so if you are attending this session live, please wait a few days. We'll email you a link to the course when it is ready. If you have questions or need help, email us at support@earmarkcpe.com. And now, on to the event. Buckle up, accountants. It's time for another Earmark Expo where we're taking the latest accounting tech for a test drive. Here's how it works. We're about to floor it with a live demo of a game-changing app. I'm Blake Oliver, here as always with my co-host David Leary. David and I will be in the driver's seat, putting this app through its paces and asking the tough questions every accountant wants to know the answers to. And guess what? You're riding along with us. We want you, our audience, to help us navigate, ask your own questions in the chat, and we'll highlight them for Mike to answer. This is your chance to see cutting-edge accounting tech in action, get your questions answered in real time, and gain insights that could transform your practice. So take a seat and let's roll with today's Earmark Expo.
So Blake, I obviously have used QuickBooks forever. And I remember the olden days of QuickBooks Desktop, doing tech support and doing sales tax. And it was somewhat simple because in those days, a business would just be in their zip code. And you'd set up like 2 sub-items or 3 sub-items that would roll up into a sales tax item. And you just put on your invoices and go on with the world. But then that was pre-e-commerce. Then e-commerce comes and you're selling all over the country. And that's a lot of items and to put on an item list. And on top of that, you have to know what the rates are in every county across America, which is really hard to do. And then I know that historically Intuit did acquire a sales tax app engine at one time, but who knows what became of that. And honestly, today, I don't even know what QuickBooks Online can do tax-wise because we don't do sales tax here at Earmark, so I don't use those features. And then I'm 100% not sure where third-party sales tax apps fit in. So thank goodness Mike from Avalara is joining us today to help me clarify this and understand how sales tax and QuickBooks work together.
Yeah, thanks for joining us, Mike. Great to have you along. Looking forward to seeing this AvaTax and QuickBooks Connector.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
So, shall we get into it? Do you want to show us the app first? You want to tell us how it works? Where's a good place to start?
I think a good place to start would be, what does Avalara offer as a whole? And really to do a brief introduction myself, Mike Tribout with Avalara. I'm a sales leader with the SMB space. And to give you an idea of the Avalara products, as you can see, it's a vast array of indirect sales tax, use tax, VAT compliance. So regardless of who you're buying from or where you're selling, Avalara holds a global presence in addressing those needs, regardless of where you're at as a business, whether you're pre-revenue all the way up to your Fortune 100s. So the big topics of today, though, that we'll cover based on our time frame is going to be, we're going to cover a tax calculation on a sales and use tax level, exemption management, and then, of course, tax returns, the filings, what happens when we collect all that sales tax. So one of the important aspects that I want to point out to is the integrations aspect. So we do integrate into QuickBooks Online. We integrate into e-commerce platforms across the board. But for the sake of conversation, I do have an example of a QuickBooks aspect. So here in QuickBooks, I have an invoice that was created, and this is a QuickBooks live environment. So what happens is, as an individual, you'd create your own invoice as you normally would. Right? You're putting clothing in, you're selling software. Hopefully they're not done in the same process or else it's a very unique table you're running. But then what you do is you hit your save and your close, and then it returns an Avalara calculation. And that tax is going to be calculated based on your requirements within that state. So based on the bill to ship to location, Avalara is always going to provide that response for you. So once that is completed, here's what it would look like within the Avalara space. So I have here is the invoice that we completed. that was saved. And then it's based off of general logic. So we ask these questions, and this is all internal to the Avalara dashboard, as any one of our customers would see is, hey, are you collecting sales tax in this location? Answer is yes. Is your customer you're selling to taxable? Yes. And of course, finally, is that product or service taxable? Because it does matter. And then based on a latitude longitude conversion and any rules, sourcing jurisdictions that are happening in that applicable location, we're going to return that calculation. We're going to break it down for you. So Colorado State, Denver City, a scientific cultural facility calculation, maybe greater Denver rural location that they have applicable tax. So whatever the location you're selling to, whatever taxes are applied during that transaction, we're going to return that for you. And we're going to make that determination. So it's more than just returning a rate, we're returning a calculation. And then additionally, we had a software process as well too. So as you can see here, same questions are asked, same logic is returned. But if you notice, the state of Colorado doesn't tax software, but the city of Denver and underlying jurisdictions do. So Avalara natively removed that calculation rule and then applied the amount so it accurately reflects when the invoice is sent out to your customers. Now, what happens if you're dealing with a exempt process where the customer you're selling to, maybe this is a no? What does that look like, or how is that currently managed for you and your customers? Well, we have a process in place that automatically validates, and renews your exemption certificate requirements.
So, Mike, before you jump into that, I just want to summarize at a high level what I'm seeing here. So I just create my invoices in QuickBooks, however I normally do. Avalara is connected to the APIs, watching my new invoices. And as soon as it has a new one, you put all your expertise behind it to calculate the sales tax and apply it.
That is absolutely right. And you know what, you brought up a good point, and I apologize that I jumped a little too far ahead. So we have these unique tax codes that we have developed. During the onboarding process with Avalara, this is required. And what is required is we have to have an idea of your inventory item. So however your item is listed in your system needs to be aligned to a proprietary Avalara tax code. And this tax code houses that logic that gives that decision that you explained earlier.
Got it. And so I set that up. So that's I configure all that inside of Avalara, or is this a custom field I put on all my items in QuickBooks? Or
Yep. So during the onboarding process, we do pull the inventory list over from QuickBooks. So when you go through the setup process, that ability, we do see that logic and we do load it in. And then from there, the product list is loaded and you're actually able to align it. And here, would you like to see it?
Of course, that's what this is for, right?
Yeah, right. That's exactly right.
As long as it works, I know, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So during that onboarding process, what happens is when you do the initial connection into, this is what happens.
This is technology. The demo gods, always.
Yeah, always the demo gods. No, that's all right. We can always do a refresh, and we can go back in. Oh, all right. Well,
I believe you.
I'll have to paint a very good picture.
List all the items and you map it. Okay.
Yep. So the items come in, and the requirement really is going back to what I mentioned earlier, is really aligning an Avalara specific proprietary tax code, this item right here, which we do provide a library for our customers to utilize. It has a description of what the product is that you generally sell, right? So it's a general rule. And then once it's mapped, it's very much can be dropped in like an Excel document. It's copy paste in, and then from there that product is uploaded, and then on the very next transaction when it's completed within QuickBooks, it's sent over and it's delivered on each invoice going forward. Therefore, if you make any changes, you do have to adapt it to the Avalara side, but natively we do automatically treat everything as taxable unless there's a change within that product that is completed on the Avalara side. But anything that happens, any changes in Avalara, do go directly back over to QuickBooks environment.
Okay.
So going back to what I was talking to you about the exemption certificate management aspect is when you're dealing with customers that have a specific requirement, they're not taxable when they buy your product because they're either reselling it, maybe they're a manufacturer, or there's some sort of agricultural requirement. depending on what you sell as a business. What we can do is we can take that actual exemption certificate, read it from the accounting system to make a live determination on that customer. So when you're invoicing customers, you're not having to go back, create credit memos to offset tax because you incorrectly charged them tax when they were tax exempt. So this tool, what it does is it reads each customer based on their logic, and it takes that certificate and then it manages it ongoing. So I'll go in here and I will pull up a,
So does QuickBooks have exempt certificate management, or QuickBooks just has a checkbox that says exempt, right?
it's a check. So QuickBooks natively has a checkbox exemption, but there is no rule that keeps it managed or determines if a certificate needs to be updated or is required a particular timeline for expiration. So if you notice here, when I go through my active certificates, I'm going to see a list here of expiring soon. QuickBooks doesn't tell you that. So we automatically will tell you that, but not only will we tell you, but we'll also campaign out to that customer to let them know, hey, your certificate is expiring with us. Please present us with a new certificate, because what happens if that deadline lapses, the next invoice they get, we're going to charge tax.
Got it.
So the rule of that, and it's going to be based on every location because every state may see an exemption. So an exemption requirement in California may be partial tax, where if you go to Washington, it could be fully exempt. So it does vary, and we have those rules. We have all that logic in place, and all of that is aligned to the current customer base that you have. And going back to the overview, I want to pinpoint as well, we're going to tell you, we're going to give you a live feed of all that information. Now, generally in a real environment, this is all going to be green because we have kept everything up to date. But for the sake of it, we are going to tell you if certificates come in are invalid. We're going to tell you what they were, and we're going to point out, we're going to X out the incorrect ones, but then we're going to send it out back to that customer and say, hey, we need you to update it. We need you to get us a correct one, the right one. You'd be surprised the support or the type of images or documents that we've received, whether it's birth certificates. I've even seen people back in the day from a few years ago, when people used to actually send us their documents of tangible, we used to scan them in for people. We received pictures of cats. So ironically, what we do is we're going to maintain the exemption. We create the repository. It's all stored within Avalara, and it's easily accessible.
So as the accountant, once I get that client's customer synced over and it's now in AvaTax, you do all the nagging. You constantly hammer people till they become in compliance, and I don't have to think about it as the accountant.
That's right. That's absolutely right. And when I'll elaborate on the we're going to pester the people or nag the people when they're out of compliance. We do have timelines we follow, either in a 30, 60, or 90-day window. When a customer is required to provide that exemption certificate, we're going to send them notifications. If that time frame does lapse, the final straw is charging tax on an invoice. So that's usually the one that always gets folks like, hey, you charged me tax and I'm exempt. But the rule is like, hey, you didn't provide us your updated certificate. Once you get it, then we can update it. But we do have safeguards in place. And the whole idea is to keep the business compliant within the sales tax process. It's pretty cool. And so I want to go on and I want to move to what happens when we've collected all the sales tax. What happens when we are, everything's said and we got to send that money back to the state? Well, we can automatically do that for businesses. And we follow a very strict deadline. If you can see my dates here at the top, between the 1st and the 10th, we're going to be providing all reporting, all documentation required for the business to make any adjustments, whether it's a credit memo they need to reflect on the past date or on the past month that is going to help with they do remittance back to the state. Whatever you need to do to correct your numbers or to make sure that everything lines up and it's applicable, you have that time frame. Because once the 10th at 5 p.m. Pacific time happens, we're going to lock the ability for you to make any changes within Avalara, because by the following few days after that, we're going to pull a direct fund from your account or from your client's accounts, and we're going to remit the sales tax automatically. And what we do is we do a lump sum. So if you're filing in multiple states, you're not going to see multiple draws from your account. You're going to see one lump sum. So here would be a $26,000 draw from your account that we would pull out, and then it goes to Avalara, and then Avalara then disperses it to each state. And then by the end of the month, we give all that reporting back to the customer, back to the accountant for their review or for their document keeping. And I want to also show this as well too. We're going to break down each state's liability. So you're not just looking and saying, okay, yeah, Avalara is just taking 26,000. Well, what is that compiled of, right? And we're going to show you. And you see this approval and ready to approve. I'll get to that in a moment. But I want to show that we have the whole idea of this is to eliminate redundancies in a proper system so that if you do have multiple accountants or multiple individuals that have access to this system, they're not going to be having too many hands in the cookie jars to where people are doing double work. So the whole idea is we want to automate as much as we can, but we also want to make sure that we limit the redundancies there. So this approval process, so Blake, if you were to go in here, you could work on Alabama, you get it all fixed. You're saying, hey, this looks great. Avalara is doing what they said they're going to do. They're calculating the right sales tax. That's how much they're remitting back to Alabama. You can click approve. David, you can come in here. You can go work Arkansas. Arkansas gets all fixed. Hey, we're submitting $180. Great, fantastic. I get to go ahead and work California. So I know that Blake and David already went in and they've already reviewed and they've approved everything. Now, what happens though if I don't hit the approval button?
Is this a guess?
We're still going to remit.
Guess?
No. Oh yeah, live guess. You know what? I gave the answer a little bit, but I'll let you guess.
My guess is you don't file the forms, but you still take the money. That's my guess.
Oh, you're half right.
Okay.
We are going to file it for you. This approval process is actually internal for you. So whether you do the approval or not, we are still, because of power of attorney authorization that you've given us, we're still authorized to remit that money because you're having us do a role for you, do a service for you. And our service is to keep a business compliant, which means we're going to file on time. And there's a huge benefit to filing on time. And actually, we're going to file early because if there's a credit that's offered within a given state, if they give a discount for filing, we're going to allow you to take advantage of that discount and we're going to offset it for you when the remittance comes. So we can save you additional money.
Got it.
So essentially what we're going to do is we're going to automate the entire sales tax solution for you on that behalf. It's pretty awesome.
And then do you send, so when you create the invoice, I'm assuming it adds a line item for sales tax and that's being tracked in like a liability account. So then when you pull the money, do you send transactions over, the opposite transactions over for the record of the payments?
We do. We do, absolutely. So the whole idea is we're trying to centralize everything within the Avalara aspect. You know, there is some limitations with how it looks in QuickBooks because as you noticed, if I go back to QuickBooks, just need more time.
That's QuickBooks.
If you go back into QuickBooks, we appear. Yep. If you go back into QuickBooks, you're going to see here we appear as a line item. So if you pull up a tax liability report in QuickBooks, it's not going to show the same. So that is a limitation that we have within QuickBooks, but not to worry because we're working with Intuit. We do it all. We work with all of our partners across any technology that we work with. We're actually working on an integration update that is going to show the sales tax down here so that we're able to have that liability report so it accurately reflects in QuickBooks and then shows in Avalara as well too.
Got it.
So it's a fantastic update that's coming out to all of our customers. Eventually, I believe it's supposed to be Q1 of 26, which is a huge update for a lot of our customers.
That would be great because it'll just seem more seamless, right? Because then all the sales tax reports that are built into QuickBooks will make more sense.
Exactly. And, you know, I do want to point something out as well. Is what happens when businesses aren't registered in a state and maybe they just begin selling or they haven't met that particular threshold. How are businesses currently doing that today? And Avalara can do that for you. So this is our homepage, our Avalara dashboard. So when you log in, this is what you're generally going to see during the setup process and ongoing process, so forth. So there's a map of the US and I'm going to scroll in here. Hopefully it makes it big enough, a little bit bigger.
It's okay.
It's a map. Yep, it's a map of the US. It's going to track all of your selling when you're conducting business with all your customers. When a state hits a particular level threshold, it's going to turn orange. And when it hits another threshold, usually about 80%, we're going to send an email notification to the users that are logged into the Avalara account to notify them that they're nearing a state's threshold. Additionally, when a state turns red or 100%, we're going to send another email notification to that customer or customers to allow them to take that action. And then how do you get registered in a state? Well, you can go to each state's Department of Revenue on your own, or you can do it through Avalara. So we do have a backdoor into the state's website to where we can streamline the process. And essentially what this is meant to do, it's meant to speed up the process. Usually it takes several weeks or a few weeks to get into a registration process of a state. We can do that within 5 to 7 business days. So we send you a general questionnaire that is an application for the state. It's built off of each state's requirements. So it's always going to look the same, where you're not having to worry about 50 different Department of Revenue websites and trying to figure out where to find them and then fill them out to their specific needs. We're going to make it simple and easy for every customer to see, regardless of whatever state.
So you have a button here that's really, it says register all. So
Yep.
really that's what you're doing. You're going to click that, and then I'm going to get a form that every value on there is going to be good for any state that Avalara needs to lock me into.
Correct.
Makes
We've done a
sense.
lot with AI. So a lot of the integrations you're seeing now is it works a lot in the back end. So we don't use AI as more of like, it's more of a tool to complement our current services we have. But what happens is when you do that, it's going to say, okay, I see Kansas, I see Mississippi, and then I see Vermont. All right, those are all nexus. I hit register all. It's going to pick those 3 that we need to register in. And then we're going to be able to fill out the documentation to get all 3 of those states registered for you.
And as an
And really,
accountant, if I put clients on this, I could have one of my email addresses be part of that team. So as one of these states crosses that threshold to turn orange and now is possibly going to have to need a return, I'm alerted to that.
absolutely. Not only do we support clients of accountants, but we support accountants as well too.
Okay.
So we have a vast amount of services. I know we mentioned this earlier and even offline, Avalara has so many products and so many services we offer. We are a partner focused business. We've built relationships based on our partners, which are accountants, technology firms, any sort of consulting firms that work with clients or anybody that works in the indirect tax world. We try to support them as best we can by making it easier for them, because that's why Avalara is around. We're around because accountants and CPAs have always said, how can we make sales tax better? How can we make it easier to deal with? Well, it's never going to be easy, but it can be manageable, and we can streamline it and automate a lot of it. And that's really why Avalara exists, is to provide a process that streamlines, automates that complexity of sales tax, regardless of where you're selling.
So now you calculate our sales tax, you collect the money, you send the reports. What else has to be done in this process with QuickBooks?
So that's really it. So once again, we try to limit what a customer has to do within QuickBooks for Avalara to function appropriately. And really, that's it. We try not to change any day-to-day actions. Customer invoices QuickBooks, they hit the save button, Avalara calculates it. The invoice goes out to the customer with tax on there. Customer collects their money, and then when the money needs to be remitted, Avalara will remit it automatically, and then we'll provide the reporting back to the customer that shows what we did do. And all of this is all meant to be audit ready. So we can't say that, hey, the state will never audit you, but if they do, they're going to see you're working with Avalara, and we're going to have all that audit ready documentation to provide that. So it'll be a very smooth process with limited risk.
Got it. Can you show us some of the reports?
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, you definitely, now that I see the button, you're going to have to show us these AI dashboards too.
Well, here, I'll do a library returns report. I'll see what I can do. I have very limited data in here, but I should be able to. So I can run a created report. Let's do previous month. And I'll tell you what, let's do all tax jurisdictions. We'll do all regions. And the idea is we'll take these reports. So as an accountant or as a CPA, you can run these reports and you can actually save them on your main page. So you don't have to rerun them or redo them every month. So they can be repeated. But the idea is we take these reports natively during the filing process, and then we apply them directly to the remittance form that needs to be sent to the state. I must have had more data in here than I thought. There we go. Perfect. Yep.
Could you do a Control Plus to zoom in a little on that?
Yes. Let me. Oops. Sorry, I got pinged on a. Sorry, I have to authenticate this real quick.
Okay.
Apologies for that. Everything requires a authentication, a Face ID of some sort. Oh, say well, let's try that again. All right. There we go. Is that visible?
Yes, I can see it.
Awesome. Perfect. So what you'll see is we ran a report across the entire US. We broke down state by sales tax, and we'll even tell you the tax rate. We'll tell you the amount that was collected, and we'll break it down by state, county, various levels.
And so this looks like it's a PDF, but I can also export this out and download it as a CSV or
as an Excel
spreadsheet as well.
That's absolutely correct. So it's very flexible. Our reporting is meant for the accountant of mine. So it's generally going to be very useful for anyone that's comfortable with Excel documents, that if they want to export this, they want to have that reporting, it's able to be used and it can be deciphered that way as well.
Got it. Can you show us a little bit more of how the sales tax appears in QuickBooks, like on reports or the chart of accounts, and how the payments appear and some of those details?
Within the QuickBooks side, so let me see here. So from at least chart of accounts, let's save and leave. So as far as like where chart of accounts, it won't actually show any reporting within the chart of accounts because we're not actually showing it in the calculation level. So we won't actually have any standard reports to go off of when it comes to that. So all the reporting it'll probably show dollars, but it won't actually show any sort of a true balance sheet from that sense. Because all of that would have to be pulled from.
Because it's just going
Avalara.
to, it's just a bunch of invoices with the dollar amount in the sales tax payable account. Okay. And do you create a sales tax payable account for each state then? It looks like maybe?
So it can be broken down. So if you do the reports, yes, you can break down each report for each state, but that's where, when we do the filing aspect of it, we break that out for each payable to the state itself.
Okay. But on my bookkeeping side, I just see the one bulk transaction. It's not,
yes,
I don't see
you'll see the one
for each state. Got it.
That's correct. That's correct. That is part of the limitation, is that because we're doing the work, we're going to show the reporting side on our end, and to get it back to QuickBooks, it's just going to show a lump sum.
Yeah. And arguably, do you need all those details about your sales tax in QuickBooks? Possibly not, right? As long as the liability is hitting the correct month and the expense is hitting the correct month and all of that. the fees.
Correct. That's right. So really, our tool becomes more of a source of truth when it comes to that sales and use tax aspect.
So what other features that are more accountant specific do you have with here for accountants to help either manage their clients or deal with their clients?
So when accountants, so a lot of the tools that we have that can assist a client is really going to be around the remittance aspect. So if an accounting firm does the filing for their clients, Avalara offers a service. We offer two of them, but to kind of paint a very broad picture to it, is we can do the filing for their clients via the accounting firm. So what happens is the same kind of function that Avalara has here, where we'll file for each customer. The accountant can still do the filings. Avalara will pull the data from the clients based on their Avalara. So they do have to have an Avalara subscription generally. It's how it works more seamless is the transactional data from their clients will get pulled to the accounting firm. And then the accounting firm can then, as they want to or as they need to, will pull reports. And then Avalara will do the filing from the clients or from the accounting firm's portal as well. So we do have a portal system where the CPAs can actually do the filings for their customers via Avalara.
Got it. And what kind of partnership programs do you have for accountants, or what kind of support do you actually offer the accountants?
Yeah,
do they
so
get
we
their
actually,
own phone
yeah,
number,
we do.
et cetera?
Yeah, they do. So all of our accounting firms or all of our accountants are all aligned to our strategic alliance managers. And those strategic alliance managers are the point of service, the white glove experience that any CPA or any accountant can come to if they have any questions. We have a portal process. We also offer a partner program that actually provides incentives. Those incentives can range from getting commissions from products that your clients purchase, or it can be discount incentives towards that you can pass on to your clients that get discounted on Avalara services. Some of it can be as high as 40%, depending on the relationship or depending on several factors. But yes, we have client portals, we have the discounts, we have incentives that we can base for any whatever reason, any other factor that a customer or a client could use for those CPAs.
When you were on the screen that broke down the approval process, right? I think it's actually this screen here.
Yep.
It shows like there's an Avalara receives or amount due to Avalara. That's your fee structure for this?
Nope. That is how much is due for sales tax.
Oh, of the sales tax, the numbers,
That's
the total sales. Got it. That's a sales tax liability. Okay,
that is a total sales tax liability. We've taken that total dollar amount and then we've broken it down based on each. We took that collectively out of every state's requirements.
Okay, so I'm sold. I want to put my client on it. How much is this? How do I figure out the price? How do I see the price? How is this billed?
Yeah. So our pricing is usage based on consumption. So we take your usage and it's applied to a particular tier, and then that's how we get to pricing. So to answer that question, it is going to be business and client specific. So if a business that is in manufacturing, their price logic could be different than a business that maybe is retail that sells thousands of transactions a year. So it's really based off of transactional volume, exemption volume, and then the filing volume as well too.
So can you give what's an average e-commerce business on QuickBooks gonna have to pay per month and they're selling all over the United States?
Selling all over the United States, it could vary. It's going to always vary based on their sales. If they're doing tens of thousands of transactions a year, they're going to be, maybe it could be anywhere between that $1,000 and $1,500 a month. But it can also vary. So it's really hard to say, hey, this is how much this costs based on an overview. This is why we always recommend, when you reach out to Avalara and you want to speak to somebody, we come in and we create the solution that is based on that specific business's requirements, because there's various reasons where costs can change for each business. Where do you have employees located? Where are you currently registered, right? What is your filing structure within that state? Because every state's going to dictate the current structure they need you to file to. It's not always clear cut dry. Some states do, they make it easy, but other states, they don't. So it's always recommended, speak to an Avalara representative to get the best understanding of cost that works for the business.
And it's probably cheaper than any fines for being out of compliance for your client. It's probably
I will say this: it's a lot cheaper. It's cheaper than a lot of things than dealing with the state or dealing with any side of the tax world that can come after you for the money.
Got it. Blake, do you have any questions?
No, this has been really informative. Thank you, Mike.
No, for sure.
Somebody made a comment, not really a question here, about bulk transactions are a nightmare, and I'm trying to understand if that's sending individual transactions to QuickBooks is the nightmare, or rolling them all up into one bulk is the nightmare. I'm not really totally clear on this.
Yeah, how I've ever seen a bulk transaction is if maybe they're uploading a bulk amount via Excel. If that may be the case, we do have an import process here where they can import bulk via Excel. And then we can take the liability from there and develop any reporting or make any calculations that way as well. So that's how I would take it, but I could be totally off base.
Oh, I think looks like this person was specifically talking about the bulk liability of the sales tax, just pulling out that bulk amount, I think is the issue.
Oh, this amount right here.
Yeah.
Well, keep in mind when we're calculating sales tax, we're only remitting what's been collected. So there's not an over or under remittance of what the business has already done. So in some instances, you're going to have where maybe you had an estimated amount of sales tax that you should have collected versus an amount that was expected to be collected. There could be a variance there. We're always going to have the rate right, and we're always going to remit what we've collected.
So it should reconcile it to zero.
Exactly.
Every month. Okay.
Exactly.
That makes sense. So I know you already said that in the future, you're working with the QuickBooks APIs to integrate the sales tax, AvaTax, into the sales tax functionality of QuickBooks Online. But what else is on the roadmap for the integration?
So we have launched, I don't know if you've seen come out live, a lot of agent to agent AI or agentic AI platforms have been launched. Google's been launching it. Avalara has remodeled. We are now an AI agentic platform, and we are now launching how AI is going to talk. So Intuit is in the process of building an AI agent. Avalara has an AI agent. What would happen is those agents actually talk to each other to help get a business up and running faster, where when those two talk, we're going to say, just like I told you the exercise before about uploading the inventory list, our agent is going to talk to it. Hey, I want to know about your inventory information. Great. Here's the inventory information back. Great. I see the product. They're going to read the product and they're going to provide a decision on what proper tax code to apply to that particular product. Same thing. Hey, where are you registered for sales tax? Hey, I see you have tax accounts in Texas and California. Great. These are the tax forms that we would use. Do you use these currently? And what happens is we're going from, everyone thinks of AI as it's a Q&A question and answer. We're actually moving on from Q&A to actually decision making. So the AI agents are actually going beyond just that QA to make that decision to keep the business flowing. So there is a faster uptime to getting our services up and running, which is crucial and paramount for any business that wants to stay tax compliant. So the biggest thing down the roadmap for us right now is our AI launch.
So in a future world, when I have to go set up my filing for all those states, I don't have to fill out that form. The Avalara AI agent is going to talk to my QuickBooks AI agent and be like, hey, I need answers to all these things. You have the answers somewhere in your QuickBooks. Go get it and bring it back to me so I can go apply for these
That's right.
certificates.
That's absolutely right.
That's exciting. Now, are you currently interacting like that with anybody else, or is that just kind of the march for the AvaTax QuickBooks?
So with other platforms that we have agentic AI with, would be like a NetSuite is going to be our other aspect as well too. So we do have that on the launch as well, and that was announced several weeks ago as well.
Got it. Do you offer any like certification programs? Like, can I become AvaTax certified or something?
Absolutely. Like that? So we have what we call, it's a CIP program. It's Certified Implementation Product Consultant. So it allows you as an accountant to go through the setup process of what it takes to integrate Avalara into your clients' platforms. And then you can actually do that for your clients instead of having Avalara do it. And it's a huge win for both you and your clients, because nobody knows their business better than the accountants on for customers. Avalara is great. Like we can set up our product. We know our product best, but nobody knows your clients better than you. And if you become familiar with Avalara, that just gives you a better experience and us a better experience with those clients and those customers on an ongoing basis, especially during the go live experience.
Got it. We do have a question that came in from Stacy. I'm going to show that here on the screen. So Stacy says, I have a running total of sales in all states for Nexus. Can these totals be added to the software to keep track of the Nexus?
Yes. So so when there's an integration, or we can do a data pull from that particular system to help determine the Nexus prior to hitting that obligation in each state. Absolutely.
Great. I don't think I have any more questions coming in. And I think you've covered most everything. Where should people go if they want to get this?
So what they can do is they can go to avalara.com and they can reach out, and we do have a chat that can take you either via phone or via chat. You get to talk to Avi, which is our AI agent, and he can direct you on how to get a hold of myself or anyone else on my team.
So your AI agents it's the same agent doing the QuickBooks talking, and I would be talking to his customer service. If you
Avi is very multitask friendly.
Got it.
Yes. So we have Avi that can help get you set up with getting connected with someone like myself. You can call in as well. Or if you have support issue, or if you have support or any questions, Avi is there to support our current customers and users as well.
Great. I think that's probably it, Michael. I think you covered basically everything we need to know about sales tax with QuickBooks. Is there any last thoughts you want to leave the audience, or anything they need to understand or know about?
I would just leave it this. Sales tax is very complex, and it's never going away. It's never going to get easier. This is why Avalara is here. Going back to what I said earlier, we are meant to streamline and automate, and the automation aspect is only getting further encompassing when it comes to any experience or any selling transaction you do with your clients or even your customers. And this is why we're here, because we're here to make sure that it's compliant, regardless of if you're selling in the same state, multi-state, or international.
Great. Michael, I do appreciate this. And just stay tuned for one quick video, a message from Blake at the end here.
Thanks everyone for joining us. We'll see you around here on another Earmark Expo. Today's event has ended. To earn CPE, go to earmark.app or scan the QR code on the screen. Then log in or create your free account. Search for the course by tapping on the magnifying glass icon on the home screen and then entering the name of this event. It takes a few days to make the course, so if you're attending this event live, keep an eye out for an email letting you know when the course is available. Pass the quiz to earn your CPE, then tap the button to email yourself a certificate. Stay tuned for more events from Earmark. Thanks for joining us, and we hope to see you again soon.